So what an interesting Saturday we had for qualifying day one of the Indianapolis 500. Quite a lot of things happened today. Alex Palou crashed when he was already in the Fast 9 trying to run faster. Turns out that didn't matter, so he crashed for literally nothing. We also had some interesting stuff happening today with the last row shootout, which we'll definitely get to. First thing I actually want to talk about is something not even related to IndyCar, but just a little quick F1 nugget, because there was multiple things going on today. In Formula One, Charles Leclerc was basically leading the qualifying session at Monaco, which was actually quite a surprise for the way Ferrari has been doing for the last year or so. And Leclerc, who had the pole at the time, Max Verstappen was on a qualifying run where he was pretty significantly faster than Leclerc. So in the middle of Verstappen's lap, Leclerc crashed in the middle of the swimming pool chicane section, and that ended the session. So Charles Leclerc was on pole, crashed after that, and kept his pole position. I think that's cool. I just think that's funny. I mean, obviously, if he didn't do it intentionally, he gets to keep his pole, which I think that's fine. Whatever. Okay, so on to IndyCar. If you didn't care about F1 or anything, on to IndyCar. We've got Scott Dixon, the fastest of the day, 231.828 4-lap average. He had multiple laps. I think he had a lap in the 231 or 232.5s. So quite a day for Dixon, just like yesterday. Second, Colton Herta, 231.648. That was also somewhat expected. Colton was very fast yesterday as well. Third, something I didn't exactly expect, Tony Kanaan, 231.639. Fourth, Ed Carpenter, 231.616. Fifth, Rinus VeeKay, 231.483. And the last two guys were both Ed Carpenter racing cars, both in Chevys. Now, a little bit of a trend that had emerged was that the Chevys were slow, like quite slow. And we'll talk about that later when we get to the last row shootout or whatever. But Ed Carpenter was really the only team that seemed to be able to figure out the Chevy motor and be able to, like, milk it for all it's worth for the quali runs, which I guess that's kind of how Ed Carpenter Racing works. They're commonly very quick in qualifying. So good day for Carpenter Racing. Connor Daly, though, was actually quite further down. He was 19th. Now looking 6th place, Elio Castroneves in the Meyer Shank car. Quite a good day for Elio. 231.164. I think Elio can take this as an absolute win. Hopefully tomorrow they get a good setup or whatever, and they can go for pole, or maybe not pole. I guess they're probably not going to be able to challenge Dixon, but put it on the first or second row. I think it'll be a good day for Elio tomorrow. 7th, Alex Palou at a 231.145, and boy, was it a day for Palou. He made the Fast 9 and also crashed later, trying to improve on his time. Yeah, so he pancaked the right side of the car. So originally it looked like Ganassi was just going to go straight to a backup car, but IndyCar actually approved them going to a backup car, which is another thing I'll talk about in a minute. But Ganassi at the last moment decided, we don't need a backup car, we can fix the regular car. It has the setup stuff on it, which I applaud them for doing that. That's really how the 500 should work. Ryan Hunter-Reay, 8th, 231.139. 9th was Marcus Ericsson with a 231.104. So talking about Palou and the chassis change, if this was like in the 90s or whatever, or the 2000s, you qualify the car, not the driver. Which, that's how the Indy 500 is supposed to work. You're supposed to qualify the specific chassis. Even if you replace all the bodywork on it, the chassis is the same, that's the thing that gets qualified. If Palou changed chassis back in the 90s or whatever, he would... If you're using the 90s format, they probably would have missed the race if they couldn't fix it or whatever. But since they probably will be able to fix it before, I guess, tomorrow for using the current setup with the no chassis change rule, and they had changed chassis, they end up in... I don't know how that would work. Would they end up in the last row shootout or not? I don't know. speaking of the last row shootout, let's go ahead and talk who's actually in that. So Dalton Kellett, there was quite a lot of chaos surrounding this. Dalton Kellett had a 4-lap average of 2:29.250 earlier, like throughout the day. That was his first run time or whatever. That was quite a good time for him. And he sat most of the day on the bubble in 30th. No one was able to get past Kellett. But right at the end of qualifying, Dalton Kellett withdrew his time after Will Power had ran a 2:29.228. Kellett withdrew his time and went out and ran again. Kellett ran a 2:28.323. So everyone who didn't know what was going on, which was about 90% of the people, thought Dalton Kellett had just screwed himself. He went out, had a time that was in the race, withdrew the time, and was out of the race, or in the last row shootout or whatever, and that would have knocked Will Power into the race. The problem, Will Power had set a time right before that of 2:29.228. The problem with that was, at the time he ran that time, that was not eligible to be counted or whatever because it was too slow to make the race. The rule is so stupid. The fact that a time, a 4-lap average that was completed, no problem, gets discounted simply because it wasn't in the race at the time, and makes it so that Dalton Kellett makes the race with a 4-lap average almost a mile an hour slower than Powers, which is his official speed, is just crazy. So most of the guys in the last row shootout didn't even have actual eligible times. That rule needs to get changed, in my opinion. If you have a time that you finish, what's the harm in keeping it on the board? Like, Power ran the time. It was legal. There's nothing wrong with it. But for some reason, it didn't count. And in the end, it makes it so that Power's in the last row shootout. Now, I think it's not cool, but it's an interesting storyline that we have a Penske in the last row shootout. The problem is not that. The problem is the way it happened. The fact that Power ran a faster average than Kellett in the official timing, and Kellett gets the nod for 30th and Powers in the last row shootout, just appalls me. I think that's stupid. So anyways, getting into what actually happened for the last row shootout, who's in it. You have Power 31st, Karam 32nd, Kimball 33rd, De Silvestro 34th, and Enerson 35th. So I'm going to kind of give my predictions here on what's going to happen for that tomorrow. Power and Karam, very likely that they make the race. Because, I mean, they had times in the 2:29s. Once you get past that, it's a little less clear. You've got Kimball at a 2:28.4, De Silvestro at a 2:28.17. So I think it's very likely that Kimball or De Silvestro miss the race. And that'll actually be quite an interesting thing to see what happens whenever that does happen. And Enerson 35th, I think it's very likely that Enerson misses the race at this point. He's almost a full mile an hour off of De Silvestro. De Silvestro will have more time to work with Penske over setups or whatever. Maybe they could use McLaughlin's setup. Same thing with Kimball. They could use Hildebrand's setup, or any of the AJ Foyt guys that made the race. They could use their setups. Enerson doesn't have that. It's a single car team. They don't have any data from the past that they can use. It's not looking at all great for RC Enerson. If I had to guess, I'd say right now, Enerson and, I don't know, maybe, let me check the timing chart here and see what De Silvestro's fastest run was. So De Silvestro had a 2:28.395. Kimball had I didn't even know. I think De Silvestro, I'll go ahead and say Kimball misses the race because De Silvestro has the benefit of McLaughlin's setup, who was, McLaughlin was 17th, and J.R. Hildebrand, the fastest Foyt car, why can I not find it? Let me just pull it up here. The fastest Foyt car, J.R. Hildebrand, was 22nd, so 5 extra positions. I'd say Simona gets the benefit from the extra setup there. Kimball misses the race. That's my best prediction right now. And then for Fast 9 predictions, I'd say Dixon, Herta, Carpenter, VK, Kanan, Elio, Hunter-Ray, Palau, Erickson. That's kind of a random-ish prediction set, but whatever. So other things to talk about from positions 10 through 30. Rossi, P10. That was his first time of the day. He didn't even go out anymore, if I remember that correctly. He didn't even go out and make any more runs. They were in the line to make another run, but the guys in the fast lane, the time withdrawal lane that were trying to make the top 30, made it so that Rossi could not get a run in. And Rossi's 10th. I think he had the speed to make the Fast 9. Obviously, there was other Andretti cars in the Fast 9 with Hunter-Ray and Herta. I don't know. Interesting for Rossi. Ed Jones, 11th. A very good time for, why can I not remember the, Dale Coyne. 12th, Pato Award. I'd say that's good from Arrow McLaren. They've got Chevy engines. 13th, Pietro Fittipaldi. Good for, again, Dale Coyne. They look like they had a fast setup for quali, which I didn't exactly expect. I expected them to be in the range of the bottom 5, but they just weren't. 14th, Rosenquist. Again, that's kind of same with Ericsson. Sato, the Rahal team had some struggles with the setup. They were a couple of the slower Honda team cars. So, I don't know. Rahal, Sato was the fastest Rahal car. You also had Ferrucci 23rd and, Rahal 18th. So, I don't know. 16th, Hinchcliffe. The Andretti cars seem to be very spread out. You had the guys at the top with, like, Colton Herta, and the guys at the bottom with, Marco Andretti, Stefan Wilson, stuff like that. Big spread for Andretti. Seems like they have a lot of the slow car syndrome stuff that they've been talking about all week across certain cars. Daly 19th. That's absolutely a disappointment for Daly because his teammates, Carpenter and VK, were 4th and 5th. Not great. Same for Harvey. Harvey was 20th. Castro Neves was 6th. Now, Harvey, in his first run, his best really chance to get a time in, had a tire delamination. Basically, certain parts of the tire came apart. I'll put up a picture here. They had 3 spots that were basically balled down to the cords on lap 1 of a qualifying run. That makes no sense. That's a rare Firestone problem. 21st, Newgarden. The second fastest Penske car. 22nd, Hildebrand, fastest Foyt car. Foyt's not looking great to make the race for the cars they have in the last row shootout. Ferrucci, 23rd, slowest Rahal car. Montoya, 24th, slowest Arrow McLaren car. Marco and Stefan, 25th and 28th. Marco Andretti and Stefan Wilson. Not a good day for them. Obviously, something must have been wrong with their car, or they didn't have much of an ability to get speed in. Pagenaud, 26th, just kind of the Penske thing. Sebastian Bourdais, 27th. I think that's a relative success for Foyt because they've got 3 cars locked into the field along with Dalton Kellett. 28th, like I said, Stefan Wilson. 29th, Max Chilton, and then 30th, Dalton Kellett. And that's the 10th through 30th range. So really that's all I have for today. So bump predictions, like I had said, probably Kimball and Enerson. Dixon and Herta, guys at the top. Dixon, Herta, Carpenter would probably be my front row for the 500. So that's really all my predictions and, my blurbs for today. Thank you all so much for watching. Tomorrow we'll be back. I don't know if I'll be back after the Fast 9 or after the last after the full field practice session. I don't know when I'll do that. That'll kind of be more of a thing I figured out. I think that the full field thing is 4 to 5, so I might just wait till that, and maybe I'll record the first part at one point and then the second part some other time or whatever. So I don't know. That'll all be things I decide later, I guess. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all for Fast Friday, or not Fast. What am I even talking about? See you all for Pole Day and Bump Day review tomorrow. Bye.